Okay, we are here. We're here. What's
Yes.
good, everybody? Oh my goodness, it's hot in my house, but we are here for another Tuesday. It is us, the Melanated Council.
Hey, as it says
Boom,
right here.
right there, there. Aha!
Yes.
Says it right
Undemanded.
there. Whew. Yes, typically we go live every other Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and wherever else you're at in the world. If you fall in those time zones, we're live. If you fall outside those time zones, we're still live. And even if you catch the replay, you still catch it, but we're not live. Whew. As you guys can tell, I am a sweaty tryhard tonight. I am sweating bullets. Like I don't know what's going on in your guys' neck of the woods, but I do know this week in Michigan we are experiencing an excessive heat wave. So this whole week is just going to be just hot for no apparent reason. Just hot. Just hot.
Hmm. I mean, as for us in South Florida, that sounds like a Tuesday.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hey, Gil.
Hey, Gil.
Hey. Yeah. So as you can see, um, as you can see, by our title, for tonight, it's health is wealth. Um, Ron, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's this month is Men's Mental Health
I want
Awareness
to
Month, or
say,
was it last?
hold on, you guys. I'm going to.
Yeah, it's June. Oh,
Okay.
what's going on,
I
Ron?
think that should be good. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Alrighty. Cool. No, just had to turn on my mic volume because it's picking up a lot of the background noise. Trying to filter everything out as much as possible. Well, it's my knucklehead of a dog. Yeah, like I said, it's my knucklehead of a dog. Short story. Um, he likes to get into a lot of mischief when he's unsupervised.
Hmm.
A lot of mischief. So he's in his kennel and he wants to get out.
Oh, oh,
So as of right now, I'm not let him out. Not yet.
okay. Oh,
I know.
poor dog.
I, I know he'll be all right. He'll be fine.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, clearly the dog is, putting Ron's mental health to the test.
Put my mental health to the ringer. But to answer your question, yes, I do believe that June is Men's Mental Health Month, but it's
Yes.
also at the same time it's just Health Month in general. And then
Hmm.
on top of that, Sirius XM, depending upon what channels you're listening to, it's also Black Music Month.
Yeah, yeah. We have all these. We have Men's Mental Health Month,
Yes,
Black Music Month.
yes.
It's
So,
also Caribbean American Heritage Month,
yep, that too.
and it's Pride Month.
Pride Month. So yeah, we got a lot of things that are going on this month. June is a very good, popular month, and a lot of things happen around this month. You got graduations that tend to happen this month, whether it's college or high schools. Those tend to happen this month, if not like the last part of May. So you got
Mhm.
that going on, and just overall, just family vacations, trips, you name it. Yes, it is happening this month. It's not this month, then more than likely next month. So, L, do you
Yeah.
want to add to the team?
Uh, sure. Um, so the reason, like, what kind of um inspired this topic was, oddly enough, I guess ironically enough, myself, who is not a man, but I am a human and I have health. so, um, so spoiler alert, everything's fine, everything's good, but I had a bit of a uh like health scare, and I was about like 90% sure everything would be okay, but I had to go and get a test, and it was incredibly hard to get this particular test. And like they kept like I kept calling and trying to get appointments like every type of wear that had it. And like I initially found out like I initially like found out about the scare like mid-April, like early mid-April. Hey Rocky. And I am, trying to, call around trying to get an appointment somewhere. And the appointments were like end of May or early June or like mid to late June. And I would just say yes to these appointments until I try to find something earlier. So, if you're freaking out about something and then they're telling you you have to wait like a month and a half to get an appointment, and then of course you have to wait a little bit later to get like the results and everything, that's not a fun time. Fortunately, I was able to find an appointment that was sooner, like May 8th. So I only had to wait like a couple of weeks. And I was able to get the results like the next day or just like later that week online. But it was, I guess, in my network, but not really because it was pretty freaking expensive. But fortunately, I was able to pay for it fine. But like, of course, like whenever you have money and you're paying for something that is a necessity, I always feel bad about people who just don't have the means for this, and I'm like, "Yo, I would not know what I would be doing because I would probably have to wait longer or something, and I'd be going out of my flipping mind," and I already was. So, of course, I already spoiled it for you, everything's fine. But just, like, the whole thank you. Just the whole, like, just the thought and like, my brain always being my worst enemy and just throwing a whole bunch of paranoia onto me. And I just couldn't like get out of it. And I was just like working. And I feel like the past month almost was like a blur or like, yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, me too. Like it was just like a freaking blur. And I didn't really realize like the amount of just like stress, anxiety, overwhelmment that I was under. And like, I had a conversation with my therapist a few weeks ago, um, because I've been showing symptoms of stress, but I wasn't really realizing if I was stressed out or not. So, a couple of days before the appointment, my eyes started to twitch. Not crazy for me, like my eyes twitch, but it's usually stress related or what have you. And I have the appointment. Everything is fine, but my eyes wouldn't stop twitching, and my eyes were twitching for literally, like, a month. Like, they still kind of are, but it's, like, it's slowed down drastically, but it was annoying, and it was definitely psychosomatic, meaning, like, it was definitely due to my mind because if I'm having a conversation and everything's going fine, my eyes aren't twitching. If I'm, like, looking at my phone, straining my eyes, or I guess, like, I might equate my phone to something stressful because it's like, "Oh, I need to do something." My eyes would start twitching. Even talking about it, my eyes like slightly twitching. Um, like, how did you know you were stressed? Never mind. Yeah, yeah. And it was weird because it was both eyes. It was mainly this one, which is my left one. I think it's like appearing as you're right on the screen. And then like my right eye was twitching, starting to twitch as well. I was like, okay, this is weird. Um, and then recently my left eye stopped twitching. No, my right eye stopped twitching and my left eye started to slow down. But right now, like my right eye has been kind of twitching. So it's kind of, like, okay, I know what it is now. It's definitely due to stress because it wasn't even just the health thing. It was also at work. I started getting more involved at work and I was just getting stressed. I was getting overwhelmed. So I had a conversation with my therapist and he said that he asked me if I'm overwhelmed. And I said, like, I don't think so. And everything that I'm doing isn't hard. Like, I'm not doing anything that's like ridiculously difficult. Like it's not easy, but this isn't the hardest thing I've ever done. Like it's just, like not easy. It's just, but it's not, yeah, it's just a thing to do and a thing to put my mind on and have to like work on and try to get things done for. But it's not like it's not just like crazy difficult. I don't know how to explain something that is like it's not like rocket science or something. So he asked me, I didn't ask you. So he said that he didn't ask me if what I'm doing is difficult. He asked me if I'm feeling overwhelmed, and he then said, if I asked you when you go home to wash the dishes, clean the floors, water the plants, take the dog out, um, garden, like take out the weeds of the in the garden, or fold the clothes, wash the, like all these things. It's like, like when you're hearing it, you start to feel kind of overwhelmed. It's like, yeah, this is like a lot of things on a list, even though none of these things are difficult. Um, and I'm like, yeah, I guess so. I guess I've had a lot of things on my plate and I didn't really realize it. And yeah, I definitely just need to, take a step back and just chill. So that's kind of what I've like decided to do. Like we're in June now. So like I told myself from like pretty much July onward for like the rest of the year, I'm just gonna, you know, say no to more things if they ask me to like help out or volunteer. Like I feel bad, but and there's times when I'm like, well, I could do this. This thing will only take half the day. That's not that bad. Or like this will just, oh, it's just 15 minutes, like 3 days a week. That's not too bad. That's nothing. But I was like, no, Al, no, you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything. Like, you're just gonna say no. You're just gonna say no. You know. I know they say no to drugs, but also say no to work. Because work too can be addicting. And they don't really tell you that. So yeah. So even though I feel bad and because like I do enjoy like helping out and like helping out with like interns or like college students or even like younger students, as well. Like it is rewarding and fun, but yeah, no, like I need to chill the f out. I just need to chill out and just focus on things that I like. Even though I do like these things, but just I just need to do things just for me. And I've been like rethinking and reassessing self-care because we think that like self-care is, you know, taking a bath, like a bubble bath and lighting candles and, getting the fancy cheese and pouring yourself a glass of wine or getting a massage, even though those things are great, like they're more so like self-soothing, whereas self-care is also just like kind of doing, like working out, eating better, um, setting boundaries, um, just like looking after yourself and taking care of yourself. Like that's self-care. Even though like yeah, it is necessary to have like these wellnesses of, massages and baths and things like that. That is part of it, but it's not the main part. Like that's usually like what's advertised to you, whereas like self-care truly is like, working out, getting closer with like the personal relationships you have in your life, establishing and creating better friendships, relationships, with family and friends and loved ones and significant others, and actually taking the time out and like just going out with friends, having a conversation. That's also, self-care as well. So yeah, so I'm like, the next half of the year, that's just what I'm gonna do. Cause yeah, when your body's telling you you need to calm down, you listen.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. And and just to kind of piggyback off what you were saying, L, too, like a lot of things that we tend to take for granted, we need, and
Yeah,
especially men. Like, can't stress this enough. Like, I know a lot of times there's a stigma where, like, men say, "Oh, I don't need to go to." Yes,
yeah,
snap to that one. Yes,
yes,
yes.
yes,
So, and again with men, it's like, okay, you know that you got to work out, or even if you're not working out, get some kind of exercise in so you
yeah,
can be healthy. There's not enough money in the world to replace a life. I don't care what anybody says. There's not enough money in the world to replace
mhm,
a life.
no,
And even then, like the life that you do have, you have to take care of it as best as you can.
right,
You don't have to be like the social media influencers and have like a six pack, chisel chest, nice buffed arms, nice legs. You know, fellas, deal with me, okay? Just deal with me. Some women they like a nice plump butt on a guy, okay? They do. They want to grab something too. It's not just stuff like to grab, women like to grab too. Have all of that, but as long as you're healthy in all areas, let me say this again, men. As long as you're healthy in all areas, you're fine. You're great. You are great, especially in the mental health department. Please, 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 please take it from me because I'm doing my own unpacking and ripping band-aids off and digging out a lot of stuff that I didn't deal with as a kid. I'm actually dealing with it now. And in a weird way, it kind of makes sense why I do a lot of stuff that I do. It makes sense. It totally makes sense. And the therapist that I do have is very real, very raw, very genuine. And
that's
even
good.
then, he just wants the best for me. And I appreciate him a lot. I do. You know, just to kind of give a snippet, he he told me, he said, listen, he was like, I know we come from two different racial backgrounds and two different communities, two different types of living and life experiences. He says, I don't know what life is for you as of right now, especially as a young black male, because that's not me. I didn't
Mhm.
grow up black. So if I come off insensitive, if I come off as if I don't understand, or I'm kind of like ignorant to a lot of things that happens in your community. He was like, is don't take it disrespectfully. It's like just understand like I just don't know. And you're
Right.
gonna have
Yeah.
to help me to navigate that area. I said, dude, that's probably like the most realest thing you could ever tell me. Period. Because that's something that I need because I don't know what it's like to be white in America. I don't. I don't live like a white person. Even though yes, I work with white people, I'm not white. So I don't have a lot of those experiences that most white males in my age can experience. I don't have that
Right.
luxury. Sorry, not sorry. But the simple fact of the matter that um, you told me that and you were upfront about it, dude, that's going to carry us a long way. A long way. And he kind of looked at me like, oh, really? Like I thought you probably wanted somebody else. Like, no, 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 no. You gotta understand, like, I have a bunch of black male mentors. I have a bunch of them. Like too many to count. Okay. I have way too many. I don't have a white male counterpart. I don't. I don't. Even some of my closest friends are black. And they're roughly around about my age. So we can kind of relate on a lot of different topics, on a lot of different situations, life experiences. Like we are very relatable in that aspect. But even then, at the same time, there's like a lot of white males in my age. Mm-mm, I ain't got none. Don't have zero.
Mm.
I have
Okay.
zero. I have none. I have none. And even then, it's not necessarily by choice. It's just due to the fact a lot of the white men in my area. Actually, I take that back. I lied. I have a couple. I have a couple. I have a couple. I take that back. No, I have a couple. I have a couple who are around about my age who are white males, and and a lot of things we kind of mesh on is cars, football, guns, sports, outside of football, and our kids played on the same football team. Like
Okay.
that's about it. Other than that, if it wasn't for those key items that I named, I would have nothing in common. Nothing. Like we don't share the same jobs, we don't live in the same areas, none of that. I don't drive trucks, they do. I just have a nice family sports car, they don't. So it's just one of those things where it's like we're very similar, but at the same time very different. And even
Right.
then, circling back with my therapist, like we're very similar, but at the same time very different. And I told him, like, listen, this is the reason why I picked you in the first place. And even from day one, from our first initial conversation that we had, I already knew like you were the one for me. Like hands down. Like
That's good.
I'm not worried about switching therapists. I'm not concerned about switching. Like, no, I picked you because I understand that I need a different experience from a different point of view, and I need that. I don't want somebody to tell me that I'm right. No, I want somebody to tell me that when I'm wrong, that I'm wrong, and honestly mean that. Not because they want to belittle me and everything else. Like, no, you're saying that I'm wrong because you want me to grow as a person, as an individual. That's what I need. It is what it is. And so he's just like, okay. Say, so I'm gonna see you the next time, same time works. Yep, I'll be here. I will be there. So this
Mm.
Thursday, go and see him. We're gonna sit around and talk. And a lot of stuff, especially like from my childhood, when I tell y'all, like we only touched like the tip of the iceberg and haven't even gone to the underneath part of the iceberg. And even then, he was like, dude, he was like, there's a lot of stuff in your childhood that we still need to unpack because there's some stuff that happened to you that you may not recognize as this, but it is. And
Mm.
so we're going to help you to kind of bridge that connection together so that way you can understand who you are as a man, as an individual, but also at the same time, why you do certain things that you do, why you behave a certain way and how you react a certain way. So he was like, yeah, we're gonna be doing a lot of unpacking. I'm like, let's go. So fellas, like find you a good, solid therapist, and especially if you find one that resonates with you very well, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah,
It's so
absolutely.
beneficial. It is so beneficial. And I'm gonna say this one thing, and then let me get off too as well. You know, kind of shift it back. The one thing he had asked me, he was like, how's your work life? Like, pretty good. It's work. Being a secretary is a lot of work. He was like, okay. He's like, is it a lot of like mental? Like how is that? I'm like, well, from about 7:30 in the morning to around about like 3:30, 4 o'clock, I'm going. I'm going. I might have. I'll take a lunch, but even then, my lunch is not necessarily guaranteed. Even when I come back from lunch, it's not a guarantee that I have like an actual cool down period because I'm constantly going. Like, okay, this needs to get done, this needs to get done, this needs to get done. And even then I do my best not to bring work home with me because I'm like, nope, whatever I get done within my allotted time is what I get done in my allotted time because when I clock out, I am done working for the day. I'm done. Like I'm not doing nothing else. If you want me to do something, you're gonna have to get me like first thing in the morning and we'll go from there. Other than that, nope, not doing it. No, not at all. So he was like, "That's cool." He's like, "That's that you're able to kind of separate, work and home balance." He's like, Do you feel as though that you kind of like you were saying, L, like overwhelmed, and everything else?" Like, oh yeah, like there's times where I literally have to kind of like take a deep breath and back away from my computer because I'm dealing with a lot all at once. Like, case in point, I may be on the phone talking to a parent about one kid to only have another kid coming through the office with a bloody nose. On top of the fact, I get an email from somebody else saying they need to get this, and that done. All at the same time, are working on a project for a teacher that needs to get done within their allotted lunchtime because they only got like let's say 45 minutes to themselves and whatever they need to get done they need me to get it done within those 45 minutes. So already I'm dealing with like 4 or 5 different things at the same time, not to mention that also during the same time period I'm actually passing off medication to a lot of kids that are coming in because guess what, it's lunchtime. So you pile in all of that onto me, and by me kind of taking a step away from everything, if I don't do that, I know me personally, I'm going to burn myself out and I'm going to be no good to nobody. And
Hmm.
so he was like, dude, I'm glad that you recognize that. He said, because just listening just to that little small tidbit, it was like, dude, it sounds like you can get stressed out very easily. Like, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, and even then, here's the kicker out of all of it. Here's the kicker. Besides me, the gym teacher, and the art teacher, we're the only 3 males in the whole building.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's is
Yes.
this K through 5?
This is K through 5.
Okay. No,
This is
yeah.
K.
It's it's sad how common that is, but that's really bad. It, like yeah, like it
And
shouldn't that shouldn't be the case.
yes. And even then, like the art teacher, he splits time with the music teacher. So when the art teacher is at my building, the music teacher is at another building. And so when the following week rolls around, they flip flop. So I'll have the music teacher at my building, and then the art teacher is at the other building for a whole week. So with that being said, just for like home base wise, it's only me and the gym teacher as the only 2 males. That's it.
Mm.
Me and the gym teacher are the only 2 males, and even then, for my case, I am the only black male in my building. So
Yeah.
already out the gate, I'm already a minority out the gate in
Yeah.
all different categories. And even then, just with my other counterparts that are also secretaries, again, I'm the only male, the only pretty much person of color, so the only black guy. And it's like, yeah, this is really different. This is difficult, very difficult. He's like, I
Yeah.
bet. And we haven't even touched on that yet. And I know that's gonna open up a whole can of worms in its own right because I'm like, man, it sucks. But when I think about it, it's like when I was growing up, going to school, when it was K through 6, like I think besides the principal, there were only two male teachers besides the principal. And then we also had like a I wouldn't call him a special ed, but he was more so like a dean of students, if you would. He was the only male there too. So besides the principal, the dean, and then the music teacher, but then he left. Um,
Hmm.
so the two male teachers, music teacher, principal, and the dean of students, those were the only five male teachers that we had, or male staff members that we had, and only one was a person of color until he left to go to the high school. After he left to go to the high
Okay.
school, it was a wrap. It was a wrap. So it was kind of just it was one of those things where I'm like, I was used to having like a predominantly like women teachers and dealing with
Hmm.
women staff members, especially like you know that were white, and so it kind of just set me the wrong way. But at the same time, I was already used to it, and especially
Right.
going into middle school where it was pretty much about dead even. It was pretty much even. I had actually no. I think when I hit middle school, it was actually the first time I actually had more male teachers than white teachers. No, I had more male teachers than female teachers, and even then,
Oh.
like the split, I had almost like 50-50. So like half of my male teachers were white, the other half were black, or they were a person of color. And then besides my English teacher, I had a um, a band teacher who was also female, but my band teacher she was black.
Oh,
So it was
that's pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah. And so it was like that even until I graduated middle school, where it was just kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's weird having more male teachers versus female teachers, but at the same time, it kind of helped because
Hmm.
when I went into the high school, that's when it was literally like split down the middle 50-50. It was
Okay.
literally it was split down 50-50, where I had my my honors science teacher, my honors history teacher were male. My math teacher was a male. My my English teacher was a black female, and then my old band teacher, who was at my elementary school, he was my band teacher at the high school, and he was a black male. So it was
Mm.
a little bit more, but even then, I think one of my health classes or one of my electives besides my band class, I had a female teacher. So it was pretty much 50-50. So just dealing with a lot, a whole lot, and how mentally that kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say mess with me, but how it just kind of like was ingrained in me for like the longest time. And so now that I'm in the position that I'm in, it's kind of weird, you know,
Mhm.
to be that one um, offset, if you would, to kind of riffle up the show the social norm. There we
Mhm.
go. That's what I was trying to say. To kind of give a ripple effect to the social norm. And a lot of kids are like, we like it. We want you here. We want to keep you here. And even then, the principal. I know I said something to say this and nothing. I'm sorry, guys. Even the principal, she was like, the kids they look up to you, and they want you here. We're gonna do whatever we can to keep you here because I see the kind of effect that you have on them. And even then, because of the fact a lot of these kids, whether they're coming from blended parents or blended homes or single parent homes, you're probably like the only positive black male that these kids ever have. So why not? Why not stay
Yeah.
and make an impact? All right, let's do it.
Like when you were saying how you didn't see any like male teachers growing up, like it sort of made me like think back. And I guess, like being a woman, like being female, it's a little bit different because like that's just not something that I guess like I like would pay attention to really. Let's see. In school we had about 10 adults. Yeah, like it's sort of weird because like now that I'm older, now that we're older, like we know the impact it is to have more males in, especially like K through 5, for like these young little boys,
Mhm.
to be able to see different men, and whereas like I just yeah, like I didn't of course, because when you're like 5, 6, 7 years old, you don't know anything. You just go to school, this is your teacher. Teacher teaches you things, then you go home, and then
Mhm.
you have like homework maybe, and then like that's it. So it's like it's interesting, like at such a young age, and it's important and it's imperative that you notice that. Because I remember in third grade I had a Jamaican teacher, which was like really cool. Um, I don't know how much of like an impact it made on me, but it was sort of cool. Like it was sort of fun because like sometimes she'd speak, patois or Jamaican English. Oh, something's going on with my internet for random. Okay, like, like, and it was just like she would just say like speak it to like me or the other couple of like Jamaican kids in the class, and it was pretty cool. But I like it was just cool, like I don't know if it really made like an impact or a difference or anything, but um I do remember like liking her a lot. Like, she was a great teacher. But yeah, cuz like that's like also an important thing, like, just not just like seeing like a Jamaican woman teacher. Like but like the first like male teacher I had was probably in middle school. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was in middle school. But yeah, like like it's definitely interesting to like, like think back on and also realize like, yeah, that's such an important thing for young boys to see, to see more like just older men caring about them, older men just being different than their fathers, who their fathers might be very terrible men, or like, or just very indifferent, which is also incredibly bad, just because like, just because like they don't abuse or hit their wives or their kids, or like, or they're like in and out of the house, or or like something more extreme, or like more what you think of when it comes to abuse, like just being indifferent, just like, going to work, coming home, and not really engaging with your kids can put like a detrimental effect on you, on them as well. And like, especially young boys, if that's like their father, or their father isn't around, or whatever, like they would just assume that, I don't know, like, is it like, should men not care about me? Should men not care about them, sort of thing? So like, it's it's just very eye-opening, and like, I'm glad that you're going through, therapy as well, Ron. Like, it's always just so eye-opening to like think like, something is off even at a young age, but you don't know how to articulate it, and you just know it affects you, and you just don't know how or why. It's just like, you just sort of know this is wrong, and they're like, this is weird, this is off, this is incorrect. And like, yeah, like it's very interesting. But like, you have no other choice but to just go to school every day and just kind of go through the motions, and then you go to the next grade and it's just a woman and women everywhere, women teachers, and you go to the next grade, then you go to the next grade, and you're like, what the heck is going on? It's, yeah. Um Man, I had a question. I can't. Oh, yeah. So I actually have two questions. But Ron, I wanted to ask you this, like, um, how does it feel being in at a job where it's mostly women? Um, how does it feel for you? Like, have you ever been at a job where it's mostly men, or 50-50, and how does that compare to a job where you are, as a male, mostly in like, like one of three men in a space full of women?
Oh no, glad you asked that because it's funny. Um, I think the majority of my jobs, besides maybe two for sure, um, were either the population was pretty much evenly split, where it's 50-50, or it was predominantly women. And the one that was more so 50-50 was when I was working for Burger King. My actual first job, working for Burger King. And then, like I said, it was pretty much 50-50. And even then, when I transferred from one location to a different location, it was still pretty much 50-50, but it was more women than men, kind of sort of speak. So it's kind of like, okay, whatever, cool, I get it.
Yeah.
When I started working for Speedway, that's when I kind of saw it change a lot. Where besides me, the store manager, and the assistant manager, and I think one other cashier, we were the only men working. Everybody else was female. And even then, when the assistant manager, when he left to actually become a store manager at another location, that's when I saw another woman come in and become the assistant manager. It was kind of like one of those things where it's like, okay, I get it, cool, great. Then the third shift guy, he was also a guy, but he was kind of like awkward, kind of weird, older, set in his way. It's like, okay, cool, great, whatever. Not a whole lot of people liked him, and it was just like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever.
Mhm.
Then moved to moved from Michigan out to Colorado. Um, Worked at a call center for a little bit, and again that was pretty much 50-50. Worked at 7-Eleven to work at another gas station, and again it was still pretty much 50-50, but it was more on the women's side versus the men's side kind of ordeal. So it was kind of like, you know what? Okay, cool, great, whatever.
Okay.
It wasn't until I started working for the bank that's when I kind of saw it was more women, and
Mhm.
that was it. And I actually have to take a step back because I also worked at the same time I was working at a gas station. I worked at a construction ish kind of job where that was my first experience being with just all men and no
Okay.
women. I think the only woman that we had was the secretary. But other than that, everybody else was more. It was more men. That was my first experience working in a predominantly male environment, and it was cool. Like it was a shock to the system. Like, yay, you
Mhm.
know, I can deal with this. It was cool. It was great. When I moved back to Michigan, um, the factory I was working at, again, it was pretty much split 50-50, where it was more male dominated versus women dominated, but you can still see a lot more women were getting hired in, which I'm like, I'm cool with it. I'm fine. There's no big deal because why not? So when I started working for the school, that's when it went back to woman dominated and like a few of the males that were there. And it was kind of hard to fit in
Mhm.
because as a male, I was told that I had to kind of fit this kind of mold, fit this kind of narrative where they're like, yeah, we need somebody that's more authoritative, that kind of is kind of like, I'm that guy, you're going to have to listen to me, follow me, that kind of ordeal. And I'm like,
Mm.
I don't think it's going to bode well too well. They're like, well, why not? Like, well, because I'm not white. A lot of my coworkers, they're white and they're women. I'm a young black male.
Mm. Ooh, okay.
I'm a young black male. And a lot of these kids, probably this is their first time outside of family that they've seen a young black male. Even the principal, before she left to go work at the admin building, when she did my interview, she asked me questions like, do you like working with kids? Like, I have no problem dealing with kids. Like, I love kids. She's like, okay. So she was like, well, let me ask you this question. Okay. Do you mind working outside? No. What about inside? I have no preference. Like, wherever you need me to go, I'm going to go. All right, cool. You're hired. Wait, what? Like, literally, that's how the interview went. It was right there on the spot. Yes, you're hired. Just go online, fill out the application. Don't worry about it. You're already hired in. I'm gonna make sure that I let somebody know to pull your application because you're here. Where have you been hiding at all this time? Because we need someone like you. Okay.
Can you go? Can you work
Uh,
inside? Can you work outside? Great.
ooh, I'm gonna answer that question too, Rocky. Hold that thought because I got to finish up with this one. Um, the reason why she had that because I was different from what a lot of the women were asking for. And so like the one time I was in the lunchroom and it was loud and all the like all the staff members were kind of like, trying to get trying to get the kids quiet down. I raised my voice and I had like that dad voice, like, hey, sit down, everybody stop talking. Like both of the deans of the school came running out their office into the lunchroom to figure out what was going on. And even the principal kind of came out and looked and saw it was me. She went off her merry way. The other two kind of stood there like, what the deuce is happening? And I just told the kids, like, hey, we're not doing this. You've been told multiple times to lower your voice. Why
Right.
are we still continue to not listen? Do you want to sit down with your heads down for the rest of the lunchtime? It was a pin drop. Some of the kids came out like, "Hey, you're too loud." Like, well, your classmates are too loud. I had to get y'all's attention somehow, some way. I'm sorry, but at the same time, if an adult is talking, you need to quiet down. And if you can help your friends to quiet down, that would make my job a lot easier. I wouldn't have to yell. I wouldn't have to use my dad voice. I won't.
Mhm.
And so they were like, okay. And the two deans are like, holy crap. Like, we heard you from inside of our door, inside of our room, and our door is closed. What the world? I'm like, listen, okay, I'm a dad for one. Number two, I'm a black dad. So when I raise my voice, it's going to get loud. Like, I'm not sorry. You're going
Right.
you when I got hired in, y'all got what y'all got in the store. Okay, we get it. Got you. Cool. Like, let us know next time. I can't. Like, if the kids won't be quiet, this is what you're gonna get. So get used to flying out your classroom because who knows what's gonna happen. But from the time I got hired in up until now, a lot of those same kids who were kind of like, oh, black guy yelling,
Mhm.
they come up and hug me. Even the same kids who I yelled at outside, they come up and hug me. If I see them in the class, like outside, let's say at the grocery store, hey, Mr. Marzette, how's it going? The look on the parents' face is kind of like, how you don't know this person? Like, oh, I know this person. Like, hey, how you doing? How you doing? How's your family doing? Like, oh, is this your mom and dad? Well, hey, my name is Mr. Marzette. I work at your kid's school. Don't worry, I'm not a complete stranger. You know, I da da
Mhm.
da da da. Oh, like if y'all showed up, y'all know. But anyways, um, to circle back to Rocky's question, like it's really not it's really not that diverse because if you're not working at yes, absolutely correct, absolutely correct. So and again, this is how pretty much diverse the my town is. If you're not working at one of the top four manufacturing companies, about to be three in a minute, but if you're
Mm.
not working at one of the top four manufacturing companies, if you're not in education, you're either going to be fast food, um, restaurants with service, gas station, retail, whether it's Walmart, Meyer, Aldi, um, oh, what is it called? Marshalls, Dunham's, like a couple of other like random stores.
Like
Like
big
that's
box,
really it, huh?
like big box places,
Yeah, kind of like that.
like
Like
Target, Walmart. Well, I guess that's retail, yeah.
yeah, like if you're not working in in those sectors that I named in, pretty much that's really it. Like
Mm.
the diversity as far as the jobs go is very very limited, and even then, the top three manufacturer the top three manufacturer companies, you're going to be making probably starting in $16-17 an hour.
Oh.
You know, and that's pretty much where everybody goes. If it's not one manufacturing company, then it's another. If it's not those two, then it's another. If it's not those two, then there's like one other one that they could work for. But even still, then it doesn't pay as much as the top two.
Mm.
So it kind of does limit a lot of the work opportunities that are out there available. But then again, we do see a lot more businesses, springing up. So there's like no, there's three authentic Mexican restaurants that just popped up.
Mm, okay.
There's three, and then there's one, two, three. So besides, hold on, one, two. Besides the two liquor stores, there's two more that just sprouted up too as well. Um,
Mm,
so like it's growing, but at the same time, like it's not as diverse, not at all, not at all. And so a lot of people, if they're not working in one of those, like if they're not working in one of the local manufacturing companies, they tend to drive down to Indiana, which again, it's only a 30-minute drive from my town to the
okay.
Michigan Indiana border. Like it takes no deal to get there, and
Okay.
they'll work there, or they may work at one of the sistering cities, and again, a 30-minute drive, and they can work there. Or if they want to work up in like some cities that's like 45 minutes north, again, they can. They have the option to do so. So again, a lot of diversity is not necessarily here, but it's out. But at the same time, it does make it hard
Mm,
because again, if you do mess up in town, and if you mess up with one of the manufacturing companies, you're only limited to a few more that could possibly take you in. But even then, if you mess up with the rest of them, you're looking at traveling outside of the city for work, and that's not even mentioning if the amount that you're going to get is going to be paid less than what you're currently working
okay. I think Rocky was asking if the town is diverse in terms of race.
at. Nope.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's like mainly white, right?
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. It's predominantly white, predominantly white. And just to kind of give you a ratio, um, we have the most black people in the town that I live in throughout the whole entire county. So just to kind of give you a rough number, in the county that I live in, there's about, let's say, about 8 towns. Okay,
Mhm.
we got about 8 towns within that county. We have the most black people living in the one city that I live in versus all the other 7 cities combined.
That's crazy.
Yep. And even then, the city that's kind of like southeast from me, which is about a 15-20 minute drive, they're the second largest.
Mm.
They have the second largest black population. And then the rest of the cities, mm-mm. You may get like one or two black families, one or two, and that's on a good day. Other than that, anything outside of that, nope. Not at all.
Okay. Yeah, so it is very good that you are at the schools, just because even just like having like, a black man just to see like their faces, presence is very important. Yeah, like I don't know, like where I grew up, it's always just been it's always been diverse, just like predominantly white, but still diverse, like I'd see like we had like Asian students. I don't know about like teachers though. Like now that I think about it. Like was there any Asian teachers? Maybe I don't know. Yeah, like I really don't know. Um Trying to think there was like any like black teachers. There was like a black security. There was like some black security guards, like one or two of them. Um like black male teachers. There were some black women teachers in high school. But like yeah, I don't really like just like the students, the student population I'm thinking of, it was, there was white, black, Caribbean, Asian, Caribbean, Asian, like Latinos, like so many, um, just Indian, just I don't know, just every kind of person. I feel, um, it never really felt like, like it never really felt like there wasn't like that many, but I could have been one of the majorities in terms of being black, so I don't know. But yeah, I got like the culture shock of just seeing just black and white when I went to college in Tallahassee, because Tallahassee, is north part of the state of Florida, and that's like right underneath Georgia, so like that's really the South. And it was interesting just to see the difference where, like growing up in South Florida, you go to like a store, like go to like Payless or I don't know, like Ross or something, and there will be white women working there, black women working there, um, like white men working, black men, like it was just I don't know, just like people, like various ages. Um, I know that like a lot of like Trini or like Indian people, men worked at Express at the mall. So, like, um, so it was a weird shock when I went to Tallahassee, and like everybody who worked retail were just black people, and it was it was just like, huh, okay, like it was just very odd. And I don't really know where, like, the white people worked exactly, but they didn't work at, like, a commoner store. I don't really wanna call it that, just, like, they weren't working at the places that, like, a college student could afford, so to speak, like, they weren't, like, they weren't really working. I mean, like, some of the students, of course, were, like, white students would be working there, but, like, the locals, the locals were definitely not working, like at these places. Yeah, like even when I worked on campus, like there were some locals that worked on campus and I worked with some of them and like if I recall correctly, like they were all black. Internet. Okay. And it's just really, really weird. It was just very strange. And like I c- I could not understand it because it was so different from where I grew up and I didn't even realize that like like where I grew up or what I witnessed was not, I guess, common. Because like you come to South Florida and it's like what Joe Biden would describe America to like a Japanese person in Japan, like it's like a melting pot. It's so mixed. It's all this. And like in my mind and like in what I see, it's like, yeah, like there's people who speak Spanish all the time, like I have, like you see people who are blonde haired, blue eyed, you know, don't know how to speak English. They speak Spanish. like they're Cuban. That was, I'm like, yeah, like sometimes I tell this story all the time. Like when I worked at Best Buy, this one like woman came up to me and started speaking Spanish. Like I assumed she was Dominican or something like that. Like, but she seemed, like like she was like a lighter skin, almost like white or something Dominican. And she came up to me speaking Spanish, and I was just like, "Oh, no habla español." And I tried to point her in the direction, and like there was two coworkers walking, one tall, obviously Hispanic looking man, and then next to him was like my a black woman who, both of them are my coworkers. And then she went up to like the black woman to like speaking Spanish to her. And it's like, okay, wherever she's from, black women speak Spanish. Like when I went to Japan, um, when like my friend and I arrived in Kyoto, we were having trouble finding where to go, and it was early in the morning because we took the overnight train, and so there weren't that many people out, and it was probably like a Tuesday or something random, and like we're trying to like find people, and I'm like, well, who can like speak English? And then we see like this black man on a bike, and like behind him is like two of like his black sons also riding on a bike, and we're like, oh my goodness, yes, he speaks English, he has to. And fortunately, he does, and he's able to translate. Um, he's able to translate for us to like where and like ask this other man about where to go. So it was just really funny because I guess like I that's how that lady at Best Buy must have felt when she saw me. It's like, oh, of course, like she speaks Spanish. It's like I don't. I'm sorry, but like I get it though. It's like, oh, this black man, oh, he has to speak English. Come on, like he has to. But he could have not. Like he very could have not spoken English. It's not that strange. Maybe she was Cuban or from Central South. The woman who spoke Spanish to me, I don't know. She did not seem Cuban because like the Cubans down here will like they'll swear up and down that they're white. Uh, so I'm like, I wouldn't say she was Cuban. She must have been Dominican. She must have been Dominican. Like,
I will say what you're saying, L, as far as her being Dominican, I can see that. Yes,
yeah.
because when me and my family went down to Dominican Republic, like we got off the plane, it's hot and humid. Okay, cool, great. Like saw the whole mariachi band, and like, okay, cool, great, awesome. Um, the the lady at the airport running TSA, she looked at us. She's like, y'all can't go. Like, no, we're all one big family. Like, we're all together, right?
Mm.
And so she had a hard time comprehending. And so one of the other guys like, no, like they're pretty much translated for us in Spanish. He looked as dark as me, and I'm kind of looking at him like, wait, what? Seriously? Okay, cool, great, I got you.
Yeah.
We get out of the airport, and of course, my grandpa-in-law, he was there waiting for us. Like the people who was dark as me, dark as L, and just randomly come up to me or the missus and start talking Spanish. We kind of look at them like me, like I would be like, my Spanish is very little, and I knew what it was, but trying to say it out now, tried to say it out loud. They kind of looked at me like, "Wait, you don't know Spanish?" Like, no, not at all. And it was a whole culture shock because I'm
Mhm.
like, well, wait a minute, you're dark complected. You should know Spanish. Like, it should be ingrained in your mind. You should know Spanish. there's no excuse. Like, yes, there is excuse. I don't know Spanish. My parents know they're black and they don't speak a lick of Spanish. They speak a lot of English, but no Spanish. Even the resort that we were on, like one of the groundskeeper, he came up to me and like he was speaking Spanish. Surprisingly, I knew what he was saying, and so I was able to translate it into the English. And I told him, like, dude, my Spanish is really, really little. I know
Hmm.
little Spanish. Like I understand what you were saying, and I could comprehend everything that you're telling me. I just don't know how to reply back from English to Spanish in a way where you can understand. And he
Right.
was like, oh, he's like, really? I'm like, dude, yeah. And he was like, well, he was like, my Spanish, he said, my English is a little broken, but if we could cross the barrier, that'd be great. I'm like, dude, I got you. I will try my absolute hardest. And if I mess up, you know, uh, what's the word? What is it in Spanish? Perdón, which means like I'm sorry in Spanish.
Lo
And
siento.
Lo siento, there we go.
Yeah.
Lo siento. So that's the one, and then the other one's perdón. Oh, words coming to me left or right. And so he was like, oh, he said, no, he said, no worries. And he was like, I will teach you a little bit here and there. I'm like, cool. And even then, our waitress, she spoke Spanish and English. And she was like, my English is pretty good. And she's like, for the most part, I can help you out because it looks like you're eager to learn. I'm like, yes, like I do, because I'm not trying to get ripped off in the Dominican Republic. I know that it's a poor country and everybody going to come up. Like I get that, but I'm not trying to get scammed. She's like, no, I get it. She's like, I get it. She said it's probably best if you know Spanish because as long as you know, even if it's a little bit, you'll be fine.
Mm.
Now, doesn't mean you may get taken advantage over. hmm More than likely, because they know that you're not from the area, and they're gonna do whatever they can to scam as much money out of you. But as long as you're pretty much firm on what you mean, they'll leave you alone. Even then, my grandfather-in-law, he pretty much said the same thing. He's like, yeah, there's some folks in here, they'll scam you right out your money. They will do it in a heartbeat
Yeah.
because they know you're from out of town. But as long as you're firm and you mean business, they'll leave you alone. They'll leave you alone. And And L, you had made a point. I know I'm circling way back,
Hmm.
but I think it was in the fifth grade. This is when I got pretty much introduced to like my first black teacher. But she wasn't necessarily black. She was black and Japanese.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, it was cool, all right, because I'm like, wait, you're black and Japanese? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm gonna have an issue. She's like, why? Like, because like you're really, really pretty, to be black and Japanese.
You told that to your teacher?
Yes, as a fifth grader who I
Okay.
know,
You're a fifth
as a
grade. Yeah,
fifth
that's
grader
fine.
who was playing football and was actually really, really good at playing football, it was just kind of one of those things where it's like you couldn't tell me nothing. My poop probably did stink, but I don't care. Like I'm going to shoot my shot, irregardless. That's just
That's
what
so
that's
funny.
just me. I know. So I told her, hey, listen, if you're not like busy, you want to come out to one of my football games? And she's like, yeah, sure. No big deal. I'm like, for real? Yeah. Okay. So I get done. I kid you not. True story. I get done. And like I see her off in the distance. I'm like, hey, that's my English teacher. My brother's like, who? Like her right there. She's my English teacher. She's like, dude, she looks good. Like I know, like that's my English teacher. So of course I'm walking around with my helmet. Stop.
Don
Stop.
Brown.
So I'm walking around with a beater, my pants, football shoes. I got my helmet and my shoulder pads and my jersey in my one hand. We're walking to my car. We're walking to my mom's car. My mom, she's parked off in the distance. And, she kind of pulls up and she stops. And, me and my English teacher, we're talking, right?
Mhm.
Like, you know, normal conversation. I'm like, oh, you made it. She's like, oh, I didn't know what field you were on. Like, yeah, we just got done playing. We got whooped, but whatever. She's like, oh, I'm just here with a friend. Like, I'm trying to find out where they're at, and I don't know the teams. Like, well, what team does your friend play for? Like, I could kind of point you in the right direction. And she's like, well, I don't know. And this and the third. I'm like, all right, well, if you need any help, like, there's people out there. You don't have to be like far out. Like, I'm pretty sure, you can find your way. And she laughed, like, no, we're good. I'm like, all right, cool, great. So my mom, she was like, hey, who was that woman you was talking to? Like, oh, that's my English teacher from school. You're what? Yeah, that's my English teacher from school. She was like, dude, don't know English teacher dressed like that. Don't know English teachers built like that. I'm kind of like, okay, I'm fifth grade. I don't know what you're talking about, but okay. And like as an adult looking back on it now, I'm kind of like, yeah, I see what she got a point there.
I know, like, the fact that she came to your football game, I'm like I was gonna ask, like, did she come with, like, her friend or something?
Well, she was supposed to meet her friend there, but she didn't know what team the friend was like coaching or whatever the case may be. She didn't know. And again, I just got done and trying to help around. Like, do you know what team the person is rooting for or whatnot? Like, do you know the colors? No, no. I just know they're here on this field. I just don't know where. Mind you,
Mhm.
there's like 10 football games being played at the same time on the same field. And
Oh, okay.
so a lot of the games they're kind of staggered, but at the same time, they all start roughly at the same time. They all end roughly at the same time. So depending upon what team she was looking for, either they're already got done playing, they just finished up, or they're just getting ready to get started playing. So it's like, help me to help you because I probably know a little bit more than what you give me credit for. But anyways, and so my mom, she's like, well, that's your English teacher? Yeah. Okay. You realize like you kind of like for your age, you kind of look a little bit too grown for your own good. I don't know what you're talking about, mom, but okay, whatever. And anything else? I know. Weird,
Mm-mm.
right?
Like,
But
no, like, because you were all, like, 10, 11 years old, no, no. There's there was because like, my youngest nephew's 12, and yeah, no, you're a kid, no matter what. You are a child, like
yes.
yeah, like, I don't know if she was, like, trying to impress the coach that she was supposedly looking for, or if she was lying, like, 'cause that just sounds very suspect. Like, that sounds mhm,
You ain't slick, Rocky. I'm gonna let that one slide.
uh,
I'm gonna I'm gonna let that one slide. Like, nah. But no, like seriously, Ellie, your point, like the way how she was dressed, it was one of those. It was like, okay, we know that you're here for someone. We just don't know who you're here for
mhm.
because the um
Skinwalker?
stop, Gil. Not a skinwalker. No.
What is that? I've never heard that, actually.
Oh man. So like if you go out west, so like Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, not like the city part of Nevada, but more so like the deserty part of Nevada. Um, there's a theory of like skinwalkers, meaning like they're like entities that take um, the form of humans to get a different human skin to wear to kind of disguise themselves. Yeah,
Mm,
super weird.
what?
Hmm.
Is this like an urban legend?
More so urban legend than anything else. Yeah.
Okay, I was about to say, I'm like, I feel like this would have been like more common news. Like if the entire country can hear about the time this guy took bath salts in Florida and then try to eat somebody's face. I feel like we the rest of the country should have known about skinwalkers.
Well, and again, case in point, like if you live out west, yes, you'll hear about it, especially like in the states that I've named, New
Mhm.
Mexico, Arizona, New Mexico, Arizona,
Nevada.
Nevada,
Okay.
the western part of Colorado, Utah. Like they're normally the urban legends are pretty much more so prominent there in those areas versus like New
Here on
York.
the east. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But have you seen the Teacher Sons?
Like we've connected off and on through Facebook, and she lives she lives in Dubai, and she's a an English teacher over there in Dubai. And I
Dubai?
know, mm-hmm,
Oh, cool.
mm-hmm. I think the last time I talked to her, right? Let's see, what's it, 2024? I want to say 2014, 2015, somewhere around there. I was living
Mm.
in Colorado. I was living in Colorado Springs at the time. We reconnected, and I asked her like, "Hey, how you doing? It's good to see you." Da 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 da. She's like, "Yeah, it's good to see you too." And like, she's like, "Dude, you haven't aged." I'm like, "Well, I mean, you haven't aged yourself. Like, you pretty much look exactly how I saw you back in like fifth, sixth grade. Like, you have not changed at all."
That's so
Have,
weird.
I know, but even then, like, case in point, a lot of my friends from high school, they see me now and they're like, "Dude, you really haven't changed. Like, the only thing that's happened, like, you got this, and that's pretty much about it. Other than that, if you were to shave your beard, your mustache, you shave all of that off, you would look like how you were as a freshman in high school." And like,
Mm.
and even then, like looking at my senior photo versus me now, like, yep, I can see that. If I shave this off, all of that, yeah, I would still look like a senior, still like a high school senior. And so again, she was like, "Yeah," and she's like, "It's good to see you this and the third." She's like, "You should like come out and visit Dubai, like whenever you get a chance." So like, do you not know how much a ticket is for me to go out to Dubai even for like a week? Like, stupid expensive,
I know.
stupid expensive, stupid expensive. Like for one person, I'm paying like what 3,000, if that, for a round trip, and
And
yeah, I don't
lodging
got
and
that kind of money.
food and everything. Yeah. That's
That
expensive there too.
yes. Yes, but at the same time, I mean, they do have like a very good amusement park and a over the top water park that's probably like top rated in the world. Which I'm like, for 3 stacks, I might do it.
Mm.
Why not? Why not? You know. But even then, she does travel to Michigan, so she's a Michigan fan. Go blue! Woo, woo. So she does travel from Dubai to Michigan, whenever. And so I know for me, I've been stupid busy and whatnot, but even then, like I got a Facebook, I just don't use it as much. So
Right.
whoops,
Yeah.
I know, my bad. But I know I have to start using it again. Do I want to? as I'm saying no in my head, like, no, I
Mhm.
don't want it. I don't. But I mean, true. And even then, back in 2016, when Donald Trump won the election, like me, the missus, her good friend, and her husband, we were all sitting now um, in the living room talking. They're like, if we could move any place, especially now that Trump won and anything else, like, would y'all consider moving out of the country? We're like, oh heck yeah, like in a heartbeat.
Right.
If we got to get our passports and everything else, bet we'll do that. You know, question is, where does everybody want to go? So the one country we kind of all agreed on was Japan. Like, Japan is solid. Like, okay, cool, great, whatever, we could do that. And then I was looking at to Dubai. I'm like, okay, could move there. And even then, just doing like a lot of the research in Dubai as far as the rules, regulations, their customs, a lot of the do's and the don'ts. Like PDA is a hard no, a very very hard no. Like they don't like do kissing in public, holding like you might get spoken to if you start holding hands in public. Like it's kind of weird, but okay, whatever. Kind of get that. And even then, because I do believe because it is a Muslim country, like they're very conservative. So like you have to dress very conservatively and not necessarily provocatively. Like I get that. Like
Mhm.
I get that a lot. Like that's common sense. That should be like clear across the board, whether you're a Muslim country or not. Just the simple fact of the matter. Don't nobody want to see all your tittle bitties. Like, who cares? Like I don't want to see that. I don't want to see if your pants are panted on or not. Like that's not none of my business. If you want to do that in the confines of your home, go for it. You do all you want to, but just in broad daylight in the Bible, I can see that. I can see that being an issue. Like, all right, cool, great. And so we talked about like going there for a lot, and like and again, the Rockies Point, it is expensive, and if you say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, like granted, but at the same time, it's like you also got to understand the reason why it's so expensive because like you got to come there correct or don't come at all for the
Mhm.
most part. And I can vibe with that. I can vibe with that 100%. And so again, we are talking, me and the missus, we are talking like, well, let's see how much it is going to cost for us to like pick up, move, go to Dubai if crap hits the fans here in America and this and the third. So like, okay, for a family of five to move to Dubai, start a whole new life, looking at about a good 20 stacks. That's just to move from here. That's just to get the plane ticket from where we're at in Colorado
Mhm.
to Dubai.
Right.
We're
Ah.
not even, yeah, we're not even talking about finding a job, cost of living, um, food, shelter. Like we're not even factoring that stuff in. Just the fact that just to get over there is 20 stacks. We're like, it's a little bit more expensive. Other than like my wife's friend, her husband, and their one kid, it was pretty much half that.
Mhm.
So for them, you know, 10,000, not bad. For the three of them to pick up and move, they could do that a little bit more easier than a family of five in a heartbeat. You know, and we're like, yeah, if if push comes to shove, like we'll probably be screwed and just have to stay here in America, build a bunker, and call it a day because 20 stacks to fly over there could be 20 stacks that could build a bunker. And I know people who could build me a bunker that's pretty much military grade for like five. I'm cool with that. Blackout radiation if there is a nuclear war happen. me and the family will be safe for about a good 5, 10 years. We'll be fine. We'll be all
Hmm.
right. You know, if it's gonna come to that, don't know. But it's good to have a backup plan if we couldn't leave, and that's what we went with. Like, well, if we can't leave, we'll invest 20 sacks to build an underground bunker that's good enough to block radiation and whatever odd foolishness that's going to happen. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. So
If you're being recruited to go there for your job is real. Uh, like I've known people who've gone there for like vacation and like they really liked it.
oh yeah,
Yeah, like I'm sure, and I know it was like a lot of planning, but I don't know. It might be worth it because I know that my brother and my sister-in-law went there a few years ago. They went to both Dubai, then they went to the Maldives,
mm,
and yeah, and like they really loved it. They went with like another couple. I think like the couple was already planning on like the couple kind of already had the plan, if I'm not mistaken. They sort of just like tacked on. I could be wrong, but like it was something like that. So I mean that could work.
yeah, yeah. And even then, like my English teacher, the only reason why she was out there, she um, became a English teacher at one of the universities out there, and that was how she got her way in. I'm like, cool, like I am proud of you. Like you do your thing because you know it was different, and it was actually one of the places where like I would even if I didn't live there, just to go there to visit, I'm fine with that.
Hmm.
Totally fine with that. Ooh.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, you okay?
Yeah, no, brain's going 1,000 minutes, 1,000 seconds a minute, and whatnot. I'm good. I'm good. Ha
Oh
ha
no, like I
ha.
heard something in the background.
Probably one of my kids. I don't know which one. Probably one of them. Who knows?
It sounded like a goat yelling, like that meme. But I was like, let me not say anything. I just got
No,
here.
you free. Your health care ain't free, but you are free to say whatever you need to say, sir.
Mhm.
It's good to see everyone. Don't mind some technical difficulties on my body's end. Let's just let's just say that.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Mm.
This is a good question, Rocky.
Are you talking about within the United States or outside of the United States?
Mm, I mean, I know. I think about this like all the time. About, like where to live outside the United States. Like I was actually talking to a friend about this yesterday, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because like we're like we've been talking about like saving up and money and things like that, and just like where we like how we would want to retire and what that would look like. And like she's Dominican, from Dominican Republic, and I'm Jamaican, and we've both thought of like wanting to just retire in the Caribbean, and here in the DR, me and like Jamaica, and just because if our money goes long there, then it's just like if somebody super rich moves to the US, it's the same thing. Like they don't experience all the same problems that we do. Like, like if we move to a third world country, like we will just feel quite rich depending on like where and our like what access we have to things, like it would definitely be ideal to live close to a hospital or like, close to, just like clean water and or just like very stable um like construction and or like, or people who can do construction and people who can fix things and, transportation and, the ease of that. So like, I've been considering that. Like I have a good friend whose parents just up and moved to Panama. They're Jamaican as well. He has a sister um who like her and her husband moved to Rwanda with their two daughters. I think it's um yeah, and they've apparently been enjoying it. And apparently there's like a lot of I think Americans or Jamaicans or Jamaican American, I don't know, like in that area of Rwanda that they moved to.
Mhm.
So they've been, having commonalities with, with these folks, which is, which is nice, which is interesting, but it's crazy. It's scary, to just like, especially just move your kids to as well. Like it's one thing if it's just me, it's like, oh, I'm gonna just go to New Zealand. But like to like also move your kids, you have to think about like their education, how they will grow up, how they'll be treated, how they'll feel, um, like what they will learn, and also just like leaving like your family. But
Mhm.
like it's sort of crazy because it's like like I totally get why people want to move out of the country because it's like it's aggravating just trying to get people to vote or just like telling them like how important it is because like we could change so much in this country in like 8 years, like real talk. But there's people who are like, my vote doesn't matter, so what's the point? Or it's like, how about you just try it and just try it for like do 4 elections, the midterms and and like the presidential. Do like just do it twice, twice each. Just see, like if you know, and like there's always all these stats and numbers for things of like, oh, if only 20% more, blah blah blah, and young people don't vote, and people don't think their vote matters, and so or like they want to withhold their vote because they're waiting until reparations gets talked about. And I'm like, I've I've realized that there's only two reasons why someone shouldn't vote. One is if they legally can't vote, like if they're 16 years old or, they're not a citizen of this country, or if they don't even live in this country and are not a citizen of the country. If they're just like some Russian bot who comments, I'm not going to vote. That's why I'm not voting. It's like, well, you can't. So that's why that's that. Or two, if there's literally no one in this country that you care about and you're planning on moving out of the country within the next 2 years. Those are the only two reasons you shouldn't vote.
Mhm.
That's it.
I can see
That's it.
that.
Yeah, like that's like I've thought about it because I'm like, I don't. It's like, why do people not vote? And like, if you hear their excuses, it's stupid. It's stupid. It's like, oh, I don't have time to vote. It's like, what do you mean you don't have time? You have time. You have time. You do.
Mhm. Like I get it. Like you mean to tell me that the same amount of time you are telling me you don't want to vote because you're sitting here drinking beer. Matter of fact, that's like your sixth beer, and you're telling me that you don't want to go vote, but you've been there in the same spot for the past 3 hours. You couldn't walk 10 minutes to the polling station, take like 5 more minutes to cast your ballot, just to come back and to sit in the same spot. Like, make it make sense. Like,
Right.
come on, make it make sense.
And Ronnie, not even exaggerating like how little time it takes.
Yeah.
I had a washing machine, a Samsung washing machine that when you put on a load, it will tell you how many minutes it takes. So it took like 58 minutes or something, 56 or 58, something like that, just under an hour. And I put it on, and then I went to the polling station. Because I always vote early because I do not want to sit in that line on a Tuesday. So I go voted early. Went voted. Then I think like me and my friends were doing something later, so like I went to the liquor store and bought some alcohol, and then I came home, and as soon as I opened the door, I heard the chime from the washing machine letting me know that it was done. So I did. It's like I voted and ran an errand all under an hour. You have time. It's
Agreed.
like,
Agreed. Definitely agreed. Agreed.
Mhm.
And it's sorry, I got a mosquito in the house and I'm trying to locate it.
Oh yeah,
Anyways,
that's the worst.
yeah. And it's like I understand that sometimes when we go to vote, we got some of the worst people in the entire world on the ballot.
Hmm.
Like, one, I don't like none of those people. Two, none of those people actually align with what I want. And three, like, there's nobody else that's on the ballot to run against them, which hurts even that much more. So I'm like, why? So the frustration on that part, I do understand. I get
Right.
it. But to simply not to vote, like, come on.
Hmm.
You could write your own name in and have your family to write you in. And you could possibly win just by your family writing you in to vote alone.
It's
You could
true.
possibly win. You could possibly win. You
Yeah.
know? And it's irritating. Like I said, it's irritating to say the least. Very much irritating. But the circle back, because I know you were talking about this too, El. Like I know me and the missus, we were talking about like, if once the kids get out the house, they go live their lives. Like if we decided to retire, well actually no, the Rocky, like where
Hmm.
would we go? We said, well, if we wanted to retire, if we had to retire in the United States for whatever crazy odd reason, if
Mm.
we had to retire in the United States, we'll go back to Colorado. May not be Colorado Springs, but probably like Denver-ish area.
Okay.
Um, maybe Boulder. Maybe retire out in Boulder, where we get to see the mountains and go to one of the hot springs. Because why not, right?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, cool. But we're like, if we wanted to move outside the United States and go to someplace else, oh, Dominican Republic in a heartbeat. Yes. In a heartbeat. Yes. Especially the same area where my grandfather lives at, my grandfather in law, where he lives at. Absolutely. So, Sua,
Mm.
yes, absolutely. But dude, that was in a total heartbeat. And even then, he was telling us to basically start investing in the real estate that they got going on down there because the condos that he's living in, they're going to pale in comparison because since we've left, they're building like, I think he said like maybe 5, 6 more condos places
Hmm.
within his immediate area. And even then, he was like, if he said if you really got the money, you could definitely live along the coast where he kind of lives at. Could live along the coast because those houses are going up for sale. And he was like, and he said in American money, they're like going for like pennies on a dollar. We're like, dude, seriously? He's like, dude, yes, because even he showed us he got a drone video, and he showed us all the places that he was like watching the construction kind of come up. He was like, there was one place, literally, it wasn't even there like 7 months ago, and here it
Mhm.
is. It's built up, moving, ready, and they're already working on getting another one built up right next door to it. And he was like,
Mm.
and he said, and people are paying money to get in. He's like, if you guys decide that you want to retire, he said, start putting in the money now. So if you want to, he said, you can live, you can have a place down here. You got to worry about paying property taxes because they don't believe in that. I'm like, for real? We look at each other like, for real? He was like, yeah, like it's yours, it's yours. Like, for
Nice.
what? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, we might do that. Like, for real, legit. You're like, yeah, he's like, it's yours. It's you bought it fair and square. That's yours. Why
Yeah.
not?
Like I would love somewhere that's like, if I could have like two homes, it'd be somewhere like in the mountains, like for the
Mhm.
summer, and then like in the winter, like just live in like South Florida or the Caribbean, or just and just live like that because there's a lot of retirees who just live in South Florida for like just the winter months because they just can't deal with the winter up in like Connecticut or
Mhm.
or like New York or something. And I don't blame them. I like because it is disgustingly hot down here and it's so gorgeous up there. It's so gorgeous. I mean, it's disgusting where you are right now, but like compared to me, it's
Listen, listen. Oh my gosh! Like the time I visited Florida and it
Mhm.
was like cold, wet, and rainy in Michigan. Came down, it was like just hot and humid for no apparent reason. Like I want to jump in the closest body of water with all my clothes on and just allow the water to cool me off because this is not it. Not at all. Not at all. And like, and even when we were leaving, like it rained for like a little bit, and then it just went straight to hot, humid, sticky. I want to punch somebody in the face because why not? I'm like,
Mhm.
minus the Cubans, I think Florida will be all right.
Come on. Oh
Just
my gosh.
saying. Just saying.
Because you're here for a
Just
short time, but you got it bad.
yeah, like minus the Cubans. Don't get me wrong. The few and I'm not talking about for all the Cubans, just the ones that I ran into. Like they were the worst. Like no, had I not had a flight to catch that day, I probably would have fought somebody. Like just just because. Like what's wrong with you? You don't have to act like you better than nobody because apparently on my radar you are nobody. Like calm down. You just as about as mm, mhm.
Mhm.
Anyways.
How beneficial that will be when the zombies invade. Ah,
I mean, you're not wrong, Rocky, unless like you've been watching like Resident is it Resident Evil, the TV series on Netflix?
no, The Last of Us. Oh, you mean Netflix? I don't
Netflix.
know. Was it Resident Evil? Did they have a Resident Evil show on Netflix?
Yes. Yes they did. Yes they did. Yes they
Okay.
did. There's a Resident Evil TV series on I do believe it's I don't know if it's still on Netflix or they took it down, but um if they're like the zombies on that Resident Evil show where they kind of like I don't know made their way under the water, but yet they're not necessarily quote unquote dead. They're just in stasis and whatnot. You got that until somebody brings them out like a ding dong. But yeah, it can happen. It can very much well happen. You know, get washed up ashore. and you got 1,000 zombies on the beach. Like, you know, this island is very nice, but if I don't have a boat to readily escape from the monstrosity that's going to happen, no, I'm good. Straight.
Hmm.
I'm straight. Unless I got like, landmines scattered all over the island that I know where they're at and just watch like zombies just fly in the air and, some other stuff. Absolutely. Let's do it. Let's defend my turf for what it's worth. Absolutely.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure the there is like a Resident Evil TV series on Netflix, which was really good, by the way. Really good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Didn't necessarily line up
Okay.
with the movies per se, but there were a lot of elements in there. I'm like, it's kind of creepy, but I get it. It wouldn't be Resident Evil if it wasn't creepy.
Mm. Yeah. Uh, yeah. No, we talked a lot,
Mhm.
which is I do want to say that this is also very good for mental health, just talking, engaging in communication.
Yes.
Um, it's not easy to find people that you can just open up to and open up with, and who are willing to be receptive and um, willing to just give you space to be you,
Hmm.
where you don't have to feel like you have to put on a front, put on a mask, act, pretend you're just you. You're just being your intrinsic true self.
Hmm.
And I really hope all of you who are listening and who will be listening in the future, I really hope all of you are blessed with people like that in your life, because it's um it's hard to come around. People like that are hard to come around, and I always feel very fortunate for the people in my life, the people on the stream, people in the chat. Um, that we can all just, be open and share. Of course, like whenever we're ready to share, like, and even if, some parting advice, some parting words, because it's getting late. We're going to be wrapping up soon. Um, it's to even share things when you don't feel ready to share. Share things even if you feel like it's stupid. Share things even if you feel like it's small, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Hmm.
Share your wins and also share your failures. Share your uncertainties. Share your fears. Share your concerns. Share your love. Share your happiness. Share your joy. Just share everything. Share your opinion, of course.
Hmm.
Share some random fact that you just learned, because like, that's something that I recently realized. It's like, with that whole health thing, I was sort of keeping it under wraps. Like, I told a few people, like my boyfriend and my sister, about like what was going on, which was, very helpful, incredibly helpful, because it was, just hard, but it was also one of those things where I kind of knew in my gut that it wasn't anything, but like my brain wasn't allowing me, and also it was just still the uncertainty. So it was, like just putting a lot on me, but I really just needed, like, like I feel like I should have, shared it with like, some more friends just to really just sit down and just kind of, because I can't just have my boyfriend be that person, like for everything. And when I told my sister, it was like a phone call, and I told my mom as well. And it was like a phone call as well. Well, my sister was actually in person. What am I saying? But like with my mom it was like a phone call, but like my sister was just like a lunch. So like sometimes you just need someone you can constantly talk to, even if you're feeling paranoid or if you're feeling silly, if you're feeling like you're overreacting. Um, if that's how you're feeling, then that's how you're feeling. Just because somebody says, or you, even if that someone is yourself, says you're overacting, that's not going to make anything feel better. Your brain never is like, oh yeah, you're right, and then gets its act together. That's never happened. That's like telling someone who's freaking out to calm down. Like that's never helped. That's that's never worked. Um so yeah, just wanted to say that as like some parting words. But as always, thank you all so much for watching.
Yes.
Um Definitely take care of yourselves, take care of your mental health. As I should bring up the comment that Zipporah mentioned earlier. Self-care requires work, but it is so worth it. It's true. And we say this on the stream all the time. You gotta try, be comfortable with getting uncomfortable. You gotta be comfortable about getting uncomfortable too. Like you just have to know that discomfort is normal and it's just gonna be there. It's just gonna be there. Like, and
And
yeah. So but you gotta put in the work for yourself. But yeah, what are you gonna say, Ron?
I would say that also going to add on to that, if you're going to do anything, do it scared.
Yes.
That was another thing that has been discussed on this channel before too. If you're going to do anything, do it scared, because at least you have the courage to at least try.
Right. Yep. It's something you want to do, but you're too scared to do it. Do it scared.
Yes.
All good words. Yeah, balance is everything, I guess. I felt like I was in a pretty big slump. Like, was still waiting for work access. Wasn't very motivated to learn things on my own and maybe try to get ahead. Doing quite a bit of binge watching of just shows, and I felt like I wasn't really going out even as much as I used to. And I mean, I don't know. I guess one was like I started doing like a training that kind of, I guess, inspired me to like oh, it's actually like it's I feel like once you kind of get one thing done, you feel like you want to be more productive, or you learn one thing, you want to learn more things. So sometimes just trying to take that first step will make the things that you feel like you have been putting off easier to do. Whether it's trying to learn things, whether it's just other productivity, even maybe trying to like go and work out. Obviously, those who do, how that is. You just kind of keep getting that rush, and the rhythm starts to build itself. So I feel like just taking care of yourself, you just kind of have to do that first step. And I'm still trying to figure out systems for how to latch onto the more motivated periods, even though motivation's a myth. And I feel like we've talked about that a lot before in the past. But
Yeah.
we all work on it. We all we're all trying to work on it.
Yeah. Right now, it's true. Like motivation is a myth. Like motivation comes after you've already started to commit. Like because when you actually start to actually be like cognizant and notice the effects of especially working out, then you start to feel motivated, because like once you start to go down into like a slump, and you notice that working out kind of helps you get out of a slump, or makes your slumps not too bad, then it motivates you to work out. Like, that's definitely what I've noticed. Even though like I've been very bad at being consistent when it comes to working out, I have been at least trying to do something.
Mm.
You know, whether it's like go for a walk, go for a bike ride, jump rope, do a push up, because that's like, if that's all I can do, that's all I can do. But it makes me feel like a little bit better, and it's just, and like it's at least something, you know. There's like a famous Reddit post about non-zero days, and it's like, yeah, even if you do one push-up, if you do one jumping jack, that's more than zero. And that's at least something that you can build off of. So it's like, hey, you gotta do something. I mean, I'm not really a believer of like working out every day, but you should try to like do something for yourself every day, even if it's like 10 minutes of meditation, or like 5 minutes writing down your thoughts. If it's 1 minute reading, just do something that's just strictly for yourself every day. That just makes you a little, that pushes you in the direction of the person that you want to be. Like, I don't really want to say like in the direction that you want to go to. It's like you want to try to go, you want to try to become the person you want to be. So yeah. So just try something, just so you don't feel like you're not moving, or even worse, regressing. Like I always say, it's better to be going somewhere slowly than to be going nowhere fast. And you sure as hell do not want to be going backwards on a slide. Backwards down, honestly, you do not. That's definitely what you don't want to be doing. So it's better to be going somewhere slowly than to be going nowhere fast. Yeah. I was gonna, like, Rocky, I did want to say, like, I guess sometimes when people say working out, they mean like going to the gym every day. If you want to do that and you can, that's great. But even if you just go to the gym and you just go on the treadmill for like 20 minutes walking, that's fine. Like that still counts as a workout. I don't care what anybody says. Like I will fight somebody if they say that's not a workout. That's a workout. That counts. Going to the gym counts for me. Like, even if you go to the gym and do nothing, that counts. That counts. I will fight anyone who says that's not the case, because it's like it's already like getting into the mental mindset of getting dressed, going into your car, and then driving to the gym where there's no food, and to like work out. There's no coffee there. There's no like, you don't just like sit around and just like talk, or you don't like, even at the person who you like, you scan your phone, like your ID thing, or write it down or whatever. You're not having conversations. Like there's no interaction. So yeah, that counts. I will fight anyone who says otherwise. But like, like there's people who will be like, oh, I did like, I worked out twice today. They probably lifted weights in the morning and then went for a jog in the evening, or vice versa. But yeah, like, because like when people say like, I go to the gym every day, I work out every day, like they probably are doing like serious workouts and things like that, or like legit structured things. But A, that's not good. And B, like you need to incorporate like cardio, stability, mobility, workouts and routines and things like that, in addition to the strength training, because that will make things better. So yeah, so like that's what I mean when like, yeah. Okay, I feel like, yeah.
Mhm.
You
That
don't
one.
have it. Yeah, you go. I'll say it real quick. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 30 burpees. That's great. Burpees are so hard. There's a reason why everybody hates them.
Mhm.
But they're so good for you. Right
Mhm.
now, people don't have the time to travel to the gym, or like, even if you just don't have like the mental capacity, because like that's my thing a lot. And I just sort of like make deals with myself. It's like, all right, so I go to the gym, I'll just do 400 jump ropes and call it a day. It's like it's something. I feel better, but sometimes that actually gets me like a little bit more motivated and makes me feel better. So like whether it's the next day or so, I'm more likely to or inclined to go to the gym because I got like my blood pumping and I feel better, and I don't want to lose that, that feeling.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. But
Oh, I feel you.
mhm.
I definitely feel you on that one. Yes.
Time to travel. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I get that. Even when you have the time to travel, you just don't have the mental capacity to do so. Like do something, like, because that really takes care of yourself. Because it's hard. Like it's very hard. Like the littlest thing just keeps me like at my desk, at home, at work. While I'm working from home on days I'm working from home. The littlest of things. It's like, oh, what if somebody messages me, with a change? It's like, well, I honestly, like, I could get back to that in an hour. That
Mm.
isn't crazy. Because there would be times when, like, I'll do the change and I'll give it back to them, and they don't respond back to me for like 2-3 hours. So they're out here getting the things that they need to get done. I don't know what they are, and I should be doing the same for me. Facts. We can't all be. I don't stay hard. It's true.
I
We
know.
can't. No. Only
Oh, it's
David.
hard, yeah.
No, only David Goggins can be David Goggins. Like, I appreciate what he does. Because I've seen clips and he said some things that were really true. But yeah, like we all like. Please don't try to strive to be like him. Just like be like exactly like him. I should say. Just take the advice, because there are some things where it's like hard pills to swallow, and it's like, yeah, that's true.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, and there's other things that's like, yeah, I don't need to run 20 miles a day. That's insanity. That's insanity. That's like almost a marathon a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might bike 20 miles
Yeah, for
in a
sure.
week. I might do that in a week, but 20 miles in one day? Mm, mm-mm.
Mm. You could definitely bike 20 miles in, I don't know how long that would take. Maybe an hour, maybe under an hour. That's possible, but yeah, no, I wouldn't do that every day. And
Yeah.
yeah, no.
Mm-mm.
Then with with that said, y'all, um, thank you all so much for watching. Um, as always, we wouldn't be anything without you all. So we appreciate you guys coming on and hanging out with us in the chat. We'll be back July.
July.
I think it's July 2nd. I think
Mm.
July 1st is a Monday. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, because today's not Juneteenth. Juneteenth is tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
I
yeah.
found out recently, just based off math, that Juneteenth is always the day before 4th of July in terms of weekdays.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
because yeah, like when you just 14 days after Juneteenth ends up being 3rd of July. So since today's a Tuesday, well, we're always stream on Tuesdays, but the point is that I think the next stream day ends up being July 2nd. Yeah, that works out. So it's basically right before another holiday.
Yeah, right. True. So we'll be back at it again. But
yes,
Crack addict like a crack addict.
yeah, but like a healthy crack addict.
yes, yeah. Healthy crack addict. Yes, got to get my Tuesday fix in.
Ah! How we come in healthy doses though?
Oh yeah.
I mean, doctors used to prescribe. Oh, that was more heroin than cocaine, but anyways, that's fine.
They prescribed all sorts of things.
Say it again.
They prescribed all sorts of things.
Yes. Over time, they learned.
I can't get over how Coca-Cola really had cocaine in it.
Right.
Wildness.
Imagine that one.
I know. But yes. Well, with that said, we hope you all have a great evening. And we'll see y'all in 2 weeks. And of course, please join our Discord. I should share that link in case anybody is still struggling.
Yeah.
Yes.
And hit us up in the Discord, and definitely recommend any sort of ideas and topics that you like us to talk about, or if there's anything that we've spoken about that you like us to delve deeper into, then we'll definitely be more than happy to discuss that.
Yes.
So with that, we love y'all, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Oh yes, the heart.
Yeah. Yeah, you're on
That
Mac.
end, it seems.
Yes.
Wow, that still blows my mind.
Yeah.
Discrimination for non-Mac systems.
Bye.
Bye.
Get a
Oh,
Mac.
I'm not flicking people off, I promise.